So, welcome back to my video blog, Wanderlust, Forrest Fenn's Gold, and I had this nice video here. Kind of may have ditched my background for this video blog, and the theme is two or three things for today. Is I want to talk about the issue of water and erosion. So let's see if I can. So here's Forrest Fenn's box of treasure. And he's hidden it here by this gentle stream. And I think the point I want to make is about erosion and water. So there are two interesting aspects. But if you look at this gentle stream running, it's most likely, if you look at all the trees, it's probably summertime. And but the thing is, at if you look at this riverbank, you can actually see. So I draw another box. You can actually see along here that during spring and winter, you can actually see along here as well that the water runs high along these areas. I mean, it's even entirely possible that it can run as high up here because it does look like there's some kind of erosion here. And you can actually see there's a bank. You can see this bank here is cut away also. And, I could totally imagine that during different times of the year that this stream or river runs really high. And so my point is, if Forrest Fenn put the treasure box anywhere near a stream or a river, I think it's gonna be a major problem. I mean, that box, if that box, make it gold. If that box was up here, hidden underneath this tree, you get a season of really high water. I mean, and this stuff comes sweeping around here, around this bend. I mean, it is possible now our box gets swept downstream, falls over, all little pieces of gold, coins, are all going to be swept away and under all this gravel. So I think it's one of the things about streams and rivers that we all know. Fenn was a huge Forrest Fenn was a huge fan of fly fishing. But one of the things that gets me is this aspect of, if it's anywhere near a river or stream, it just really could be a major problem. Here's another example. I mean, this is a spring runoff in the Rockies. Let me turn the sound down a little bit. I mean, normally you can actually walk up this in the summertime, but my gosh, if that treasure chest was placed, you know, here, or here underneath these trees, or up here underneath that, I mean, it's going to be washed away. So, so yeah, I think that this is definitely a problem with anybody who's looking at rivers, creeks, um, that they're all going to overflow with snow runoff in the spring. And that goes to my next point about erosion and moving to a different environment. Let me post this real quick. So here's an example of uh, runoff from heavy rains in a desert basin. So this is another concern I have in regards to erosion in water, with in regards to finding the chest or the chest being hidden. If Forrest didn't do his homework and he made assumptions, it could be a real problem in that this kind of runoff, if he just walked out in the middle of the desert somewhere and put this thing, this kind of runoff can cause the same problem I just described before. Where that, where, you know, if our tiny little box is sitting here, or like right here, I mean, it's going to get swept away. It's going to get knocked over, and then all of this mud, it's going to be covered up. And if the box falls over, or it's just buried, I mean, and I agree with a comment that I just saw from another YouTube video, another video blog from another Forrest Fenn searcher, that these are the kind of things. And actually, there was another video I saw last night from another Forrest Fenn hunter, also had just posted a recent video blog. And he's right. He makes a very good point about, Forrest Fenn said it was hidden. So he's right. I mean, hidden could be under a cup, a little small stack of rocks somewhere out in the middle of the desert. But, Forrest Fenn could also not be talking out of both sides of his mouth when he's saying that it could be buried, because this kind of thing may have happened, some point, which would be tragic. I mean, it means we're never going to find it. So my hope is that Forrest Fenn thought about these kind of things before he put the treasure box out in nature. I mean, here's another example of a desert flash flood. I mean, this is an example of what happens when you get even just a half hour of rain in a desert area or in a dry, arid landscape. It could just turn into these massive floods, and it washes everything away. So that goes along with one of my concerns, with these concerns that I have. And let me switch this back. I kind of like this. It's nice, gentle water flowing down. So yeah, it concerns me about flooding along creeks and rivers, and not to mention the danger of a hunter or somebody, a Forrest Fenn searcher going out and hiking around in this stuff. The danger of somebody getting swept away in heavy current. It's already happened. It was. I'm kind of all over the map here on this, but I think that, to me, as when I start looking at my solves, and I have to admit, I also, you look at the poem and he talks about warm water halting, and there's definitely, if you read the poem over and over, you start to think, it puts the images in your mind of rivers and waterfalls and streams and creeks and lakes and ponds. And but then, so there's really a division in my mind that I flip flop back and forth on, is, did Forrest Fenn really consider these issues having to do with moving water, and then also with erosion? And I think the erosion issue, you could say, well, okay, you're only talking about rivers and streams, but I mean that's applicable to a lake as well. And I know there's been many, many arguments and discussions about that. Forrest Fenn says that the treasure chest is wet, and I personally think that when Forrest Fenn says, "I know it's wet because of physics," I think he's clearly talking about sublimation or dew. That it's wet because it rains out. It's wet because there's moisture in the air. It's anybody who's ever left something in their backyard for a year, you come back, and if it has metal, or even if it's made of plastic, it's been exposed to water, and it's going to be wet. Just kind of anything that's outside is going to get wet at some point. So I think that's the wet issue, is often placed into that someone he put it in the water, and I have so many issues with, if he put it in a lake or a pond. There's so many people, fly fishermen. I mean, a lake, it goes on and on. Lake levels go up and down, and some years there's, if there's a landslide near the lake or some other disturbance of the in the lake, I mean, you can get massive silt. Uh, Bottoms of lakes and ponds are often very soft, and I mean, the thing could just sink and be plugged in and be almost impossible ever to get out of there. And so I'm I am saying it is I think these water features are beautiful. They're great to stick your feet in on a hot summer day and cool your toes off and that kind of thing. Or, but I don't think I think as soon as you see water or water is in your solve, and you're looking for that chest within 100 feet of that water feature, I think it's way off. I think that you could discount a lot of those. And then the same part of me is also, I would never 100% discount it. My videos, and hopefully you come back, and thank you for watching.